All right, I think we're all set. My name is Jen Zarowski. I'm the Library Media Instructional Technology Specialist in the West Appear School District, and I'll let you introduce yourself too.
Hi, I'm Kathy Kaldenberg, and I'm the district librarian for Solon Community School District in Solon, Iowa.
And Kathy, do you kind of just want to mention why this all came about, or why we're doing
Yes.
this today?
Well, you and I had done a Google Hangout earlier with talking about your happy video, and that led me to your YouTube channel, which I love to look at those. So I started scrolling through, and I saw that you did this news broadcast, and I just been fascinated with this idea. I heard them talk about it one time on the Google EdReach program. I don't know if
Okay.
you listened to that podcast, and I thought that is just such a great use of the technology, but I just couldn't wrap my mind around the protocols and setting it up. And then when I saw you did, I thought, well, I'm going to ask her because she's figured it out. So I really welcome the opportunity to kind of chat about this a little bit because we have some people at our school that I shared your video with them, and they're
Mhm.
like, wow, we want to do that. So
Oh, cool.
you've learned the hard way. I mean, I'm sure you've got some advice, and so
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to listen to.
definitely. Okay, so I guess I know you have a sheet of questions.
Hmm.
So we can kind of just run down that, but I'll just start by saying that this really kind of happened organically. We started with trying a professional development opportunity at night for our teachers with Stacy actually, who you know. And that rolled into our monthly book talks on air with the kids, and then I actually approached our principals and asked them if they wanted to try some announcements on air, and that the school that we're doing it at with now, Westwood Elementary, he was actually going to ask me at the same time. So we both kind of had that idea going and wanted to try it out. I wouldn't say that it's a well-oiled machine yet. We're just kind of in the beginning stages of trying to figure out exactly how we want it to look. But I will say that I think what helped our situation is that we are a station district. We had done the Read Across America that I had set up for March, where our teachers were actually reading across America with classrooms from all around the country. And so it was a really safe, comfortable next step. It wasn't like we had a whole building of teachers that had never done a Google Hangout, that had never heard of a Google Hangout before, that weren't on Google Plus. So, I did work with my principal and assistant principal in setting up their Google Plus accounts and getting that all up and running. But I am the facilitator every Tuesday morning, so I'm actually the person that goes in and sets it up for the school. And I kind of share. Let me do a quick screen share here. I'll work with the teachers because I think that's also really important. Um, Instead of after set up, what we've done is we've just added a link to our page, just says announcements, so that because what happens with a live hangout is you actually get a new link every single time you do a new hangout, and we didn't want teachers to have to worry about going to a different link every single week. So I just created a web page under our school page called announcements, and then I embed that video or that embed link right into this page every week, so they know that they can just come to this spot to watch the videos. And I think that's really helped just kind of streamline everything. Hopefully that makes sense.
That's a great organizational tip because if you have to wait for people to get an email or,
Yeah.
find that link, that's a big hurdle.
Yeah, so now they know they can just go right back to that, right back to that page every week, and they can find the announcements link there. So we have all of our classrooms streaming live, and the first time we tried it, we were like, is this going to work logistically? Is our network robust enough to be able to handle this? And we were pleasantly surprised. I mean, everybody's able to stream it live. There is a little bit of a lag time, sometimes up to about a minute, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they don't know what's going on in the classroom next door. As far as feedback, we've gotten some really great feedback from teachers about it, especially our 4K teachers who have a morning class and an afternoon class. Their afternoon kids would miss announcements every single week because they're not there in the mornings to hear it on the PA. Other teachers have said they've really liked it because of the fact that our specials, our music, PE, art, start right away in the morning. And a lot of times they, especially in the winter when they're taking off all their winter gear, and that takes a lot of time, and sometimes the kids aren't in there quick enough. They have a 5-minute span. If the announcements start late or whatever, they're missing announcements. So this way, teachers can kind of play it at their leisure whenever they have time with their kids. So we've gotten some good feedback that way as well. Thirdly, I think the biggest benefit is really it's just more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into any classroom in the world and there's announcents on the PA and the kids are like talking through them. I mean, nobody seems to really know what just happened. Where they feel like they're watching their own TV show in the morning, like
right.
Good morning, America. So I just feel like it's a lot more engaging in that way, and that's been really beneficial too. So right now we're only doing it once a week because we just wanted to kind of pilot it. There have been talks to maybe go to twice a week next week or next school year. In talks with the principal, he's not sure he wants to do it every day, and I guess I kind of feel the same way. I think you absolutely could, but it's kind of that fun factor too for right now. So we're not really sure what we're going to do or how often we're going to do it, but at this point I don't think we're going to switch over to do it every single morning.
Okay. We like the idea of maybe developing a esprit de corps, like just having the whole school getting a consistent message about X, Y, or Z. And I do think there is the excitement, the novelty factor of it too. Maybe kids would listen a little closer to the announcements.
Right.
Maybe they're getting them from another student or from a teacher they don't know, and also just to get to know people in the building that maybe they have no clue what that teacher does, or I don't know. Yeah. It just seems like a great way to develop a good school climate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from my perspective, as a library media specialist, I'm in 2 buildings, so I struggle to see all the kids all the time. I'm in a lot of classrooms, but I'm in some classrooms more than others. So this has given me a really cool opportunity to touch base with the kids every week. I know it's virtual, but at least they're seeing my face, for sure every week. And I've been able to tie in things like, I'm trying to think of some of the things that we've done. We did like a baseball theme. We did for Earth Week, we did an Earth Week theme, and I'm able to pull off nonfiction and fiction books, and easy and regular sections, and preview some books every single week too. Which my library aides are ready to kill me because all the kids run in and they want those books. But I guess if that's the price I have to pay, then I'm okay with that. But I think it's just increasing that love for literacy and talking about that more often, and them seeing that other people are reading. This year we've kind of done. The majority of it has been the 2 principals, myself, and then the teacher that's doing announcements that week. They're like the featured class, which has seemed to go over really well too. But I'd like to start pulling in more kids. Like I know I did some poetry month in April. I pulled some kids in to read their poems, and I think that's the cool part is the kids want to be on the news. They want to be on the morning announcements. So they're excited about it, and it's fun to get their faces out there too. I know our principal tweets it out every week, and we have a lot of parents that follow our school on Twitter, so they're able to watch the announcements, and if their child was participating, it's just kind of a neat thing to be able to see what's going on during the day, because kids always say nothing happens at school when they get home. So
I was curious to know kind of the levels of interest. You've already mentioned the students, and like, what do staff think about it, and what do the parents? What kind of feedback have you gotten?
I actually just emailed our 2 principals hoping that they could join us, but it was really last-minute notice, and that was totally my fault, because I'm sure they've heard a lot more from the parent perspective than I have. Besides the Twitter, responses of great job, we loved it. Teachers, I haven't heard any negatives, let's put it that way. And maybe there are negatives and they're just being really nice to me and not telling me. But I've heard a lot of positives, especially like I'd said before, with the ability to be flexible and when they're going to show it. And I feel like in the last couple of years, one of my goals was to find a way to increase collaboration, not only across the world and across the country, but with the people next door. and in our own building. So I feel like Google Hangouts has really given us an opportunity to talk with and see different classrooms and different environments, and like you said, maybe feature teachers that don't always get that opportunity to make an even better school climate. So those are the positives I'm seeing. I haven't had any overwhelmingly, huge statements from teachers that I could share with you, but it seems like it's been pretty well received at this point.
Okay. Do you want a couple of questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So do you put the agenda out ahead of time, and then do you have things sequenced in a certain order so people know, kind of like I'm at 8:03 and this other person comes after me, or are you just all in line at the same time and whoever can do it just goes for it? And do they have a script?
Great questions. We do not have a set time. So what we do is I always call the classrooms and the principals about 10 minutes before we actually go live. And during that 10 minutes, we set up the schedule for the day. So, it's pretty standard. Jason does the introduction. We go to the classroom for the announcements. We come back to either me or Scott, who's our assistant principal, to do our What I Learned. There are traditional things that we do every single week. And I would say most of it is we just kind of wing it. I don't know if that's the best thing ever, but sometimes we have special readings that need to be done, whether it's a historical reading or a holiday reading. And those, if the kids are coming in, they usually have a script in front of them so they know exactly what to read. But really, we're setting it up during that 10-minute time before the announcements actually start. And that's gone really well for us. So
that's pretty typical, just anything in school. You have to be very flexible and ready to go at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
And so you have kind of standard segments, and maybe you change up like a theme or something within that.
Yep. And actually, kind of funny, I got a Brain Pop calendar at FETC, and I don't think I can ever live without a Brain Pop calendar. To give them a little plug, but it has all of the special days on it, and it ties into all the stuff that's going on Brain Pop that ties into those special days and special months. So I actually have been just looking at, okay, this week is Earth Week, so then I pull a bunch of Earth Week books, and kind of play off of that kind of stuff. But no, we honestly just kind of wing it, and certain times things come up and we have to add them in, or a kid's going to pop in and we have art contest winners or whatever, but it's really just kind of put together in that 10 minutes before, and we just wing it from there.
Okay. So are you a Google Apps for Education school?
Yes, our whole district is.
So are most of your people on Google Plus, and had most people use Google Hangouts before, or was that pretty much a little bit of a learning curve?
Because we had done the Read Across America, you're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. So because we had done the Read Across America thing, I would say, probably at least 90%, if not more, of our elementary staff, I can only speak for them because those are the schools I'm mostly in, are already on Google Plus. So realistically, I just tell them, like, listen for your phone to ring at 8:25 a.m. and then pick it up, or your screen to ring. And then what I did is I purchased webcams, enough for each grade level to have one camera if needed. So we have about 6 or 7 webcams in our library for checkout, and most of them are very comfortable enough now to just do it on their own. Mm-hmm. And I was a big promoter of, like, just call your neighbor, call your friend, and just try it and see how it goes. Or I was willing to do some test calls with them as well. But I would say, like I said before, because we're Google Apps for Education District, because we've gone through some other things with Google Plus and Hangouts, and the teachers are really excited about that, this was really just kind of an easy transition into doing announcements as well, and it was pretty well received because of that.
Well, that's great advice. I think to start with something that everybody can get involved with, like the Read Across America or World Read Aloud Day. We did something like that. With Google Hangouts, our library did, but it was just us in our building. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to edit something after it was posted?
No, I haven't. I know I could go back and, like, make it look pretty and add something at the beginning now. I know you can do that with YouTube, but we haven't. It's just what you see is what you get. We know it's live. We know it's not perfect. We probably look like idiots sometimes, but
I was thinking more along the lines of maybe the fire alarm going off, or just something like really weird happening where he's like, oh, we had to shut it down.
No, we've been pretty lucky in that regard, so I'm crossing my fingers that it continues.
Does your school district have a kind of a blanket permission kind of thing for students to be involved with social media or to be on the web or pictures or things like that?
Yeah, so we have a media release form that goes home at the beginning of the school year. So I know I have a master list of who can't be in videos and pictures. Some parents are a little more flexible than others. They say, you know, as long as you don't have their first and last name up while they're talking, they're okay with it. But we only have a handful at each building, and we just have to make sure, like when I do book talks on air, when I do big things like this where it's, you know, announcements and they're featured, they obviously can't be featured. They can't be in the video at all. So but that's kind of how we cover our bases with a lot of that, with a lot of those things.
Okay. What's some of the big things you've learned along the process? Like a thing that you changed because it seemed like, well, boy, we really shouldn't have done, that's not a good way to do X, Y, or Z, or has it really worked out pretty well?
Yeah, the first couple times we did it, we were all in the same room and just using one computer, and we looked like total morons because we were like wheeling in and out of the screen, and somebody else would wheel in. But it was just honestly because the two principals had never done it before, and they were a little nervous, and they wanted to make sure I was there as kind of a security blanket. So. And that was fine. Like that's what's so cool about this whole process is that, like I said, it all happened very organically, and we just kind of learned as we went along and tried. So it was okay for the first couple times. We were in the same room. We just used one computer, and now we do it. So I'm in my office, and Scott's in his office, and Jason is in his office, and the classroom is all set up as well. So we usually have 4 stations or 4 bases where we're doing our announcements from. But I would say that's probably the biggest thing. Otherwise, I mean, we just kind of embrace the philosophy of jump in and learn from what went wrong. You know, I mean, we're all flexible. We get that it's live. We get that it's not going to be perfect. We're not like a professional news show. So, and I think it's good for the kids to see that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think I heard you say you're planning on continuing this next year.
Yes, and maybe bump it up to twice a week instead of just once a week. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of just letting the principals of the building just kind of guide, you know, whatever they want to do, and I'm just kind of go along with it. So we're excited to continue.
Sorry. Do you have any like guidelines you give to people? Maybe they're doing it the first time. For example, like don't have sunlight in the background, or make sure people aren't moving around a lot because that'll draw the the microphone. You know, things like that. Do you give some tips or?
That's a great question. I know when we did our Read Across America stuff, I actually did tutorials, screen video tutorials for them for just like little glitchy things like the little gear at the top of the Hangout. That's usually where all problems go wrong. 95% of your issue is the wrong speaker or microphone is selected. But I honestly do most of that in the 10-minute span before our announcements go live. So that's my time to talk to the kids.
Oh, okay.
You know, okay, adjust your webcam or adjust your volume, and then I always talk to the kids and say, remember, this is going to be live. You need to be on your best behavior because, you know, anybody can watch us in the whole world, and we want to make sure we are representing our school district well. And that seems to work out really well. The other thing I do is I tell the teachers usually to hit the mute button on there just in case there's you know, a child that's coughing or sneezing or whatever in the middle of our announcements. So they usually hit that mute button, and then they come back on at the end because we have this Rock on Westwood thing that we do every week. So they get to yell that at the end, which they love. But otherwise, I mean, we really, that 10 minutes when I call before we go live, that's when we really tweak all those weird little quirky things. And again, most of our teachers have done this before, so they know where to put the camera already, and they know some of that protocol too, which is nice.
Cool. Do you know of any other schools that are doing this kind of thing as well?
I know we have, I know you guys call it EAAs or what is
Or
it?
AEAs, yeah.
Yeah, I can never remember where Stacy works there. But we have CISAs in Wisconsin, and I know I shared it with our CISA 7 people, and Southern Door is trying it, and I think there might be a couple other buildings that have kind of heard about it. I don't know of others, but I mean, I'm sure there
It
might be.
must be.
They're just not telling me about it, or I haven't read about it or seen it. But no, I don't know a ton. And I actually just was asked to present at Slate next December because I know there's been somebody had contacted me from CISA 5, and there's been some buzz about doing announcements on air, and there are some administrators in the state that are very curious about it. So I'm excited to spread the word. I think there's a lot of different schools with the video room and the equipment, and it's just so expensive to get all of that stuff.
Mhm.
You know, and yes, it probably looks much more professional than what we're doing, but for time's sake and for money's sake, I mean, this is working out really well for us, and it's free and it's archived, which we love, and it's meeting our needs, so it works perfectly for our district right now.
Well, that's really the end of my questions, Jennifer. I so much appreciate you sharing.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And if you know, I feel like it's hard to go back and backtrack and think about, oh, what else went wrong or what happened. So if you guys try it and you have glitches or you have questions that come up, you know, feel free. You know how to get a hold of me, so feel free to.
Oh yeah, you're very responsive. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, you know, feel free to shoot me an email and I can try to help you work out some kinks too if they come up.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
Welcome. It was great to see you again, Kathy. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.